Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our 10 to 1 session here today with Angelina Villa-Clarke. Angelina is a freelance travel writer and also something we'll go into in a little bit more detail in a minute, but Angelina is also writing some beauty features as well. Angelina, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Yes, good. Thanks, Olivia. Yeah, I'm all good, thanks.
Good. Are we just able to start by letting the PRs watching know what titles you're writing for at the moment?
Yeah,
For travel.
absolutely. Yeah. So I sort of do a whole mix, but my sort of main focus at the minute is probably for Forbes.
Yeah.
I write 5 pieces a month for them.
Okay.
That's all travel. And then I've been doing some pieces for Mail on Sunday, the Jewish Chronicle, some sort of client-based magazines like Journey, which is the Princess Cruises. They're sort of more contract publishing. And a few other bits for City AM, some websites. So a bit of a varied bag, really. But
yeah, that's a nice varied bag and really lovely publications to write for as well.
Yeah. No, it's been up and down, but we're getting there.
So how are your weeks playing out at the moment? When are you busiest?
I probably try and, because I've got 2 boys, so I probably try and do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, focusing on writing. And some, sort of writing projects and things like that. And then Thursday and Friday are a bit sort of less busy. But to be quite honest, at the minute, obviously everybody's at home and,
Sure.
Each week, being a freelancer anyway, each week is different. But that's sort of how I like to sort of operate.
So would you say the Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, are they the best times for PR to pitch? Or do you said you liked writing on those days, so do you prefer your pitches on the Thursday and the Friday, or what works for you?
Anytime really, because I'm sort of constantly on emails and I'm a bit of a sort of organizational freak. I like to sort of clear the inbox as much as possible. So I've always got an eye on it. But I guess my head's sort of down more Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'm a bit sort of out and about a bit more on the Thursday and Friday. But yeah, I mean, as I said, it's all sort of new at the minute because there isn't really many places we can go.
No, exactly. What is the best way for a PR to get in touch with you?
By email, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously over the years, I mean, I've been doing this, I've been in travel for sort of over 20 years. So I do know a lot of PRs really quite well, and we've got sort of relationships. So
brilliant.
Obviously a phone call from people that I know is absolutely fine. I sort of, a bit like every journalist, really a bit adverse to the cold call, but
definitely.
Yeah, I'd say email first, because I think you can then sort of look at an idea and sort of ponder it more than sort of being caught on the phone.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'd say that.
And what do you like being included in your pitches? Everyone's so different. Some people like a header and 3 bullet points, press release attached. What works for you?
I do a lot of roundups. Cool. And I tend to sort of have millions of folders that I sort of see something and think, oh, that could work for an idea further down the line. And I'm often working on sort of 3 or 4 stories at the same time. So I sort of plan ahead for Forbes probably 2 months. Okay. So now I know what I'm doing in December, for instance.
Great.
And I'm thinking ahead to January. So for example, January, I'll always do a trends piece or a new opening. So I sort of file things away. And then for the newspapers and magazines, obviously at the minute, nobody can go anywhere, and the landscape is changing all the time. So a lot of people are doing a lot of roundups. And so because of that, I find it really useful to have everything in a press release, probably with a Dropbox link, definitely prices. Yes. Because when I go back to do it, sometimes it's sort of like the day before the deadline, and it just saves time having everything there. And also just sort of doubling up on emails again, chasing the same thing. Sure. So yeah, I quite like images being sent, but obviously not the dreaded WeTransfer, which
everyone says the same thing. I think we've only had one person on here that actually likes WeTransfer, and I was so shocked. I think I had to pause the interview because I wasn't expecting it.
Because they expire so quickly. But
yeah, they do.
I mean, I'm sort of guilty of using it to send to editors, but that's normally because I know they're going to download within a day. But yeah, so
Angelina, tell us about the beauty features you write for, and also about your blog.
Yes, yeah. So I've been freelance for 10 years, but years ago I was on staff on High Life magazine for BA.
Yeah.
And during that time, the magazine changed a huge amount. And part of my role was sort of launching a beauty page. I've always been interested in beauty anyways, but from that I sort of had a whole sort of stream of contacts made. And so when I went freelance 10 years ago, I just started a blog, which was a bit of a hobby really.
Yeah.
And that's sort of grown, and over lockdown I've sort of really worked on that, and I'm sort of doing a few courses actually to see how I can take that to the next level.
Brilliant.
But I also do the odd beauty trend piece, which has been for some magazines. I did a lot for Canary Wharf magazine, but that's sadly closed at the minute. But just obviously lockdown was sort of up and down, and there were sort of quieter moments, so I sort of focused on beauty. Everybody started thinking about wellness, and so I'm sort of hoping that will take off a little bit more, because I have got quite a lot of experience doing it. So,
and are you looking for beauty related pictures from PRs?
Yeah, so for instance, for the blog, I've done a annual Christmas gift guide for about 10 years, so that's always seems to be quite popular, and I put everything on Instagram. So I have a travel Instagram and a beauty Instagram account, so I sort of mix and match. And of course with beauty there's a lot of wellness overlap, because I do a lot of spa writing, so it all sort of ties in together really. And I think I think the one thing, being a freelance, and the last few months have shown that you've got to sort of diversify really, and and try and write about different things.
Definitely. And also beauty is such a lovely thing to write about, and I imagine get sent lots of lovely samples.
I do, quite lucky.
You mentioned that you write a monthly trends piece for Forbes. Are there any other regular slots you write that PR should know about, so they can pitch for?
Yeah, I mean, Forbes, it's not a regular trends piece. It's basically 5 pieces a month on travel.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of my own editor, if you look. I mean, there are editors, but I sort of decide what to do. But towards the end of each year, I always do a big trends forecast piece.
Amazing.
This year, there's a lot going on, obviously, because we've been sort of sat at home, and people are thinking about new ways of traveling for next year. So I'm going to do 2 big pieces on that.
Brilliant.
So basically I sort of do, in normal times I would do a lot of reviews.
Cool.
But the last few months has been really interesting in the fact that I've had to diversify, and I've had to do other things with travel. So I've started to do a lot of interviews with people behind brands or expert insights. So I'm probably waffling, and I can't actually remember.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So regular slots. So so basically 5 pieces a month for Forbes, and then I've sort of focusing more on sort of trends to be pitched elsewhere.
Brilliant. So masses and masses of things that PRs can still get in touch with, which is really amazing.
Okay, yeah.
Angelina, what is your biggest bugbear that we should all avoid doing? And you're only allowed one.
I'm only allowed one.
Yes.
So I can't. I think it's probably because, as I said, I do a lot of roundups. I find that when I come then to sort of sorting out pictures, I'm really amazed that a lot of people do not label individual pictures.
Okay.
And it's a real possibility that when they get sent to a picture editor, my sort of very neat folders, and even a PR's very neat folders, are then lost in translation, and these pictures end up being captioned for another property. And so I guess that's probably my one.
Your one. And that's something that we can all do, takes no time at all. So that's a really good one to know, actually. And no one said that before, so it's good to have a new one. What is your top tip for PRs?
I would say sort of try and forge a relationship with a journalist as much as possible, because from that you can then sort of customize maybe a pitch or a client to a particular journalist, and especially if you know what they write about and what they tend to like. because then it makes it easier for us to get the commissions that you basically want,
Sure.
because, you know, especially for a freelancer, because for me, I go on, you know, hopefully travel will start again next year.
Yeah.
And if I do a trip, I try and get sort of 3 or 4 pieces out of that trip.
Okay.
And if a PR knows, oh, I've got a little nugget of information here that would suit Angelina. I mean, we're always after that sort of holy grail of the
Definitely.
exclusive, but obviously
Yeah.
practically that's not going to work for every journalist. But yeah, I'd say try and sort of get to know someone a little bit and
Brilliant.
try and personalize the press releases or the pitches.
Definitely. So that's the best way as well for forging a relationship with you, then getting to know you a bit and just making sure everything's super slick and personalized.
Yeah, or just sort of saying, look, I've got this new client and this is what they are really interested in, but actually I know that they're based in, I don't know, Corfu.
Yeah.
And at the moment in Corfu, there's a real sort of focus on wellness and, you know, that sort of thing. Sort of
Sure.
thinking
outside the box a bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And just to finish, where is the first place you want to travel when we're all allowed to?
Well, I guess last year I did a really, my family are Italian.
Yeah.
And I did a really lovely trip to Tuscany. I mean, I wrote about it, but my sister and her family and my mum and dad ended up coming.
Oh.
And we did this lovely stay, and then we travelled up to my dad's village, which is in the north. So it was sort of like a 2-hour drive, but
lovely.
And it was a sort of holiday that we hadn't had since childhood.
How lovely.
And because of that, it sort of gave me loads to write about as well.
Yes.
So we were going to do that this year. So I'm hoping
you can
come Easter we'll be able to do that again. So I think it's all about sort of being with the family and having that special time again. So yeah, that
sounds really special. Really special.
That's where I'd like to go. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, fingers crossed you can go there.
Yeah, hope so. It's looking good with the vaccine. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully things are starting to be a little bit more positive.
Yes, yeah.
Angelina, that is our 10 minutes up.
Oh, really? You were right. It does go quickly.
It does go very quickly. Thank you so much. That was so brilliant. And I hope all the PRs watching have found it super useful. All of Angelina's details are up to date on Rox Hill's site, so do get in touch with her. Angelina, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.